Welcome to the Jim Bakker Show today, and we have a very special broadcast for you. After our regular taping of the Jim Bakker Show with Mary Ann Peluso, we continued the cameras rolling, and we had a great time with her, our live audience, and our family. We call it, of course, the after show. We wanted to share it with you and all of our family, and we hope that you're watching this wonderful time we had together and will enjoy it like we did. We don't always get this opportunity to share deeper insights into how our family came together and what this journey looked like and how it impacted and grew each one of us into the people we are today. And how God was then able to use my whole family in this ministry and the way He has. This makes me all the more excited for you to watch and experience this live, on-the-spot time with us and a special after show. I hope you enjoy it all as much as we did putting it together.
Isn't this a crazy time we're living in, guys?
Goodness.
We're off the air right now. This is just us. Isn't this crazy?
Yes.
It's almost, I mean, we've been warned, we've been, but it still is crazy. I mean, you just can't even get over it. It's like one thing after another, after another, after another, and this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And it is really something what we're living through.
Yeah.
And the only thing that the Lord keeps speaking to me is that each one of us needs to be in God's perfect will. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds so trite and it sounds so, old school and all that, but it's the truth. It's fresher today than ever, that we have to be in the center of God's will. Whatever God's will is for you, you must be in the center of it, because that's the only thing that gives us peace that surpasses all human understanding, is by being in the center of God's will.
Amen.
And that's the only place you want to be. Why even want to live life if you're not in the center of God's will, right, Nana?
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're in the center of God's will. I'm glad you're on our side. I don't know what we would do without this woman of God. She's my girl, but she's a mighty woman of God.
Wow. It's amazing.
She really is. Like, you guys get ready. She's going to be preaching. She's a preacher. She's got the preach in her, but, she's got to run all the operations behind the scenes first. But she's got to preach when she can.
Her day's coming.
Yeah. Oh, it's good.
God's going to.
Wow.
Wow.
The Lord said something to me just now.
Jeez.
He said, I said, Lord, why isn't the church dancing? Isn't that a funny question to ask the Lord? He said they were dancing while the Titanic was sinking.
Wow. They sure were.
The orchestra played on,
The orchestra played.
and God's trying to wake us up so that we can go to be with Him forevermore. This is what, from Adam and Eve, was the beginning to now means. God has created man, created this earth, and you just happen to be born at the end of things instead of the beginning of things.
Yeah.
Not just happened, but by design from God.
That's right.
There is a design from the Lord by Satan, but there is a design of God, which is
You must
so
be a
much better.
tough lot of people.
Yeah. Can I just say something for everyone here?
Yeah, this is just us.
It's really on my heart. The Antichrist spirit, the Antichrist himself, when he comes, he will be a Satan worshiper. I mean, he is the embodiment of satanic. He will worship Satan. I believe Hitler was a Satanist. This man will be a Satanist. So, an Antichrist spirit dwells and carries a spirit of witchcraft. Witchcraft is division. Don't accept gossip. If someone comes to you and says, well, this person or that person or Jim or Lori, just stop them and say, you know what, that is not God, that you're operating in witchcraft, and that we don't tolerate division here.
Yeah.
And so I just, Lori, along with that, I did that last night. I said, stop, that's witchcraft. God does not operate in division. You pray for that person.
That's it.
You don't gossip about them. You don't pit them against someone else. That's division. That's witchcraft. And so I just want to leave you with that, because that's my heart when I come here.
And
I love you.
spiritual people restore.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because they know, but for the grace of God, they could.
So are there.
Right? All of us, there's none
Amen.
that is good. No, not one. So.
Mondo, we hear you had your temperament tested, or your life blood or
Yes,
something.
my DNA test.
Oh, you did?
Yes, Ancestry.com and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So
I was shocked.
Would you
so
like to hear
fascinating.
about the real
Yes.
Mondo?
It's so fascinating,
Listen,
isn't it?
my family's Armenian, Lebanese, and all that. I have none of that. I have Scottish in me.
what?
So do I.
Yeah, Scottish. Where?
So you are related to me.
Yes, Scottish. Look at this. So I'm 30% Spaniard. That's the biggest one. Spaniard and Toledo and all that area. Then I'm Mayan, 19% Mayan, and then 10% Scottish, and then 10% African. I mean, so I'm all
10% African?
Yeah, from Cameroon, Zambia, Ghana. No wonder I felt calling from there,
I don't even
No, I mean, it's so weird because everything I thought I was, I'm not. I'm an imposter.
everything.
You're
But
not- you're-
Scottish.
I know you grew up in the ghetto, but I don't believe you were ever a ghetto boy. If you were ever mean in the ghetto, was the gangs was influencing you, but
That's all we have
you have a kind heart.
right now. We're waiting on
Thank you. Yeah, I was a different person.
Don't-
I was I was mean,
They do with mine.
that cleric side of me just came out there.
Oh, I
of
know that side
survival,
of you.
I just can't believe
But the
that.
melancholy Christian me just keeps me calm, keeps me humble. Grandma Shar told me.
Yeah.
What is that? That's the survival. You use the strongest part of you to survive.
Do you believe he was a ghetto boy, a gangbanger?
Well, I do, because I was there. We saw.
Yeah, you saw the.
It was a real deal.
last of
But he's
it.
never been mean to me. This boy has never been mean to me.
No, maybe attitude, maybe some attitude.
Attitude once in a great while.
A bad boy, maybe once or twice when you were growing up.
When he was, yeah.
All
he
the
was
kids-
going through
all
his
the kids
time.
go
they
through
all,
a little.
They all go through.
Some residue there. No, I was a whole. My mom will tell you, I was a very different person.
Yeah, she's told me.
Yeah, just different human being.
Did you make it hard for your mother?
Very hard. Sylvia and I didn't talk for a long time. We didn't live together for a long time.
Wow. Yeah, you
And-
weren't living with your mother when, were you?
Say that again?
And when you were in the ghetto at the Dream Center, you were
No,
You weren't living
by
with
that
your-
time, Sylvia and I started restoring our friendship there.
Wow.
I didn't call my mom. When she divorced my dad, I stopped calling her mom, and for almost 20-some years, I didn't call her mom. I called her Sylvia. We didn't have no relationship.
Oh
Nothing.
my God.
And I was a different human being, just full of anger, full of
What changed you?
Christ.
Amen.
That's it, Christ.
Yes, amen.
Completely.
Power.
And the learning throughout the years, of just remembering how to just stay kind, and always, even my kids till this day, they check me. Hey, Dad, you're using a different tone. Be kind. And that's, as parents, you almost have to humble yourself to learn, because you don't understand you're using, a tone that can be overpowering, and they're so kind to just remind me to watch my tone, So for me in the ghetto, that was the whole thing, is your tone has to be louder than everyone else's to be able to command attention and to keep people away from you. My learning behavior was forced to survive, because being with people in the inner city, that wore me out, but I didn't understand because I was living in adrenaline. So that adrenaline kept me alive enough to make it through the next day, but it was a dangerous time because it was that adrenaline just got me in trouble
Yeah, yeah.
constantly. Mouthy. I was fighting every day, physically fighting, just proving and earning your stripes, you know, in the ghetto. But it was part of, you don't understand that it was not normal. For us, it was normal. It was
Right.
just a normal day of life. You get up, you know you're going to fight. You have to defend where you come from, defend your neighborhood, be mouthy to every person that you can. You know.
Did you?
But he was so kind to me.
Yes.
When I was there, you know, and I'm not trying to make Mondo feel good because I'm sure he doesn't need anybody to do that, but
No, he
I just
probably does.
appreciate so much Armando.
I appreciate
I look
you.
back at him now, and he's still my friend.
Yeah.
Amen.
Mondo's one of the very few friends that I have for long term, for
Yeah.
20-some years, because forgive my wife for going to say, but I'm married to preaching. I'm
Yeah.
married to,
Yeah.
this is what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is all I am.
Again, it's what we talked about. When you give, you don't expect anything in return.
That's right.
You just give, you know. And I was just thankful for the two of you to have accepted me and allow me to make those mistakes in that
Why would
realm.
you be? Why in the world were you hanging with me? Why did you? Well, I was old man then. You know,
Yeah.
you were really young probably back
Yeah,
then.
I know. God called me to serve you, but more than that is to learn. I was praying for a spiritual father figure in my life, a mentor, and
And
you came.
I
into
die
my
a
life.
lot. You know, I've died many times. So I'm.
You listen. The key is you stay
I was-
real. The
I
two
was
of you were
so-
real.
I was
You
so
show-
broken when I came there
Yeah.
that I'd gotten out of prison and went to the farm. You know, the Grahams gave me a house to live in, which was a farm really, and it was no neighbors or all. I was always there. We had cemetery on one side, so
cows on the other.
Cows on the other. So they weren't the best neighbors probably, but I was afraid to go out and see people, and I had nobody. And
Dead people in
for a little while, Jamie lived there, but he moved to
Then he came to Phoenix.
Phoenix. So I like to fix things. I paint houses, and I can do anything. My father taught me that we could do anything, and though I'm like, you know, they say, jack of all trades, but a master of none. And so they gave me the credit card, so I didn't have anything else to do but to fix their house. And I wallpapered, I painted, and, you know, did everything to fix the people's house. And the people had moved out to go somewhere else, and they were kind enough to rent it to
Franklin
the
Graham.
Grahams for me.
For you. Wow.
And so I needed to buy curtains for the house. And so I was scared to go. And I was living by myself, and I didn't go out, you know.
So you get your baseball hat on, you put that on.
Yeah. I'm
to
just
hide.
curious how in the world I lived then.
He's curious.
I'm trying to look back at it, you know.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
all
have to go out
right.
to buy groceries once a month or something.
Oh, honey, you're funny. Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so I went there, and I walked in. I remember walking up the steps like,
So remember, he's got his baseball cap on because Billy Graham always wore a baseball cap when he was traveling through airports and
right,
everything.
right.
You know, always trying not,
Incognito.
because otherwise, you know, just attacked
and
by
so,
people.
so the drapes, if I'm not mistaken, it seems like they were on the second floor, and it said it was the second floor. So went up the second floor. Just really hiding from people. I didn't want anybody. I've been
to recognize you.
Well, I was spit on when when my world came apart.
Yeah, you'd been through hell and back.
And so
Yeah.
I just wasn't,
Traumatized.
I didn't think
He was
anybody.
totally traumatized. Yeah.
You know, so when I was at your church, I didn't think I'd ever preach again. You know, I got up and
You
testified.
started
and
preaching.
almost started
Wow.
preaching, didn't I?
It was amazing.
I don't remember it much. And so when you're like paranoid,
Yeah.
you can see
Yeah.
out of the back of your head almost. It's like your eye all the way around you. And so I get up there and I'm looking at the drape, and it was like, you know, it's like drape heaven with the whole upper level of that store. It seemed like there was drapes.
Right.
And I was hiding in the drapes, you know, looking for something to put in that house, because I wanted to do a good job for these people because they were very nice to me.
Yeah.
And so out of the back closet room, like, you know, where all the back the stock
storeroom.
is, all these women come walking out.
Wow.
Wow.
And they all wanted to give me a hug.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
And I mean, I was frightened to death that they were, you know, just going to spit on me or something, you know.
So he
and
went
instead,
through
they all hugged me.
He went through the hugging line.
We used to call that the hugging machine when you had a birthday, remember?
I love that.
And so it was the scariest. That was my first. If I need to tell that story again sometime when telling a story about
Yes.
being afraid, but that was my first time out, really out in the public by myself, and how I ever went down there.
How you ever went by yourself is so crazy
Which
to
is
me. Knowing
insane.
him and knowing him
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the way he is. Yeah, he doesn't do that. No, it's like that was such a God thing. And it just showed how beautiful God's people can be.
Yeah.
Don't go away. We'll be right back after this special message.
I just received a devastating call, and calls actually from the networks that are carrying our ministry. And you know, we've been fighting to stay alive, and they've taken millions of dollars from us, and we've got it almost current. I mean, you know, current is almost $1 million right now. If we had $1 million, we'd be current, and we just need $1 million today, and we can do it.
Yes.
We can do it. You say, I don't have that much money. Well, you got $1, you got $10, everybody doing something. We can pay this
Yes,
bill right
amen,
now.
amen.
We don't have to go under. We've always had to fight for what we're. And we're in a time when the enemy trying to shut down the church. We must not allow it to happen. But I've been told that the network's going to cancel our broadcast within another week. We've got to catch up on the bills.
Yes.
And that's about $1 million.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And networks that would never cancel us are saying we're going to have to cancel you. And, you know, I'm not going to go quietly into the darkness. I am going to stay on until
Amen.
you shut my mouth. And,
That's right.
and I have to go.
Amen.
But we've got to, I mean, they're telling me who I can have on the air.
Yes.
Perry said something that was interesting to me, because that God said he's going to take some home to avoid what's going to happen this month, this year. So we've got, let me just, I sent a message out, and we just overcome the biggest obstacle in years. We lost millions in finances due to the legal battles we have fought. Losing our ability to receive donations by credit cards for over a year has left us in a desperate state. But what the devil has tried to do is silence our voice. I'm asking you, as a friend and longtime supporter of this ministry, valued partners, will you help us? Turn this wolf away from our door. We're not crying wolf. Our door, it would break down if the wolf comes in, because he's there. He's at the door. He's not near the door. He's at the door. Let's not lose this opportunity in this most critical hour in America's history to speak prophetically. What the enemy has meant for evil, God's going to turn it in for
Amen.
good.
Yes.
I'm asking you to please help us get caught up with the network that we're about to lose with the networks, plural. I believe God still has much for me and the voice of the prophets. This is one of the biggest networks now in the world, and the devil thought he killed us many times. We come back from the dead, so watch
Yes,
out, devil.
that's right.
I know many of you have been regular givers over the last years. When we faced the credit card problem, the giving dropped down because we weren't able to process the monthly and auto giving. In the past 48 hours, we've received confirmation that we can now receive monthly auto giving. We need your help now. Would you pray about giving a monthly gift? Our bills come due monthly. We need your help monthly. Now we have everybody. Could everybody watch and give $1 a day?
Yes,
$1 a month.
$1 yes.
$1 a day, which is how much?
$30. Yep.
Yeah, I felt that.
$30 a
I
month.
got to straighten myself
Yes.
out here. That's $30 a month. If everybody watching did that,
That's right. Amen.
we could pay our bills every month, and we could get caught up right now. But we have the $50 a month club,
Yes,
which a lot of you have joined before. But the monthly stopped because of the credit card
Yes.
problems.
And that's the thing is the monthlies, many of our monthly partners, that was the foundation
They came through the
of
credit
our
cards.
ministry. And so when we lost the credit card processing, we've not been able to do that in over a year. And so now we have the ability, and that's what I love about God. Just when you feel like the string is unraveling, God sends you word that now he gives you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I wanted to mention the President's
Yes.
Club because there's been a few of those
That's right.
at $100 a
$100
month.
a month.
That's my club,
Yes.
the President's Club of the
Yes.
ministry. And so pray right now and write the number down and do it now. If everyone would say, Jim, you can count me in.
Yes.
For the President's Club is $100 a month. I know there's still some partners who can do that $100. And then others that can give $50, that's Jubilee. Remember
Yes,
Jubilee?
Jubilee.
That's
Amen.
been, I think we started that back at 700 Club.
Yes.
So I had the Jubilee Club at $50 a month. And then the Count Me In Club, which is $1 a day. That's $30 a month.
Call us today, 1-888-988-1588. You can also write to The Jim Bakker Show at P.O. Box 7330, Branson, Missouri 65615. Please make all checks payable to Jim Bakker Show. Or you can make your donation and order of other products online at our website, jimbakkershow.com.
Yes.
And the love and restoration.
But
that
so
we
Mondo,
can
you
give
know when
one another.
you first met me, I was still in that I'm never going to preach again, not going out.
Yes, you were still that bashful, wearing the hat, afraid, wouldn't look people in the eye.
Right.
It was almost weird to see someone be that afraid of people.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever seen a dog that is afraid to be touched or to be. That was the only way you can express it, is a dog that had been abused, a dog that had been kicked, a dog that has been rejected, and here you were, the way you walk was just depressing, the way you carried yourself, except for when you got in the pulpit, you were a different person.
Totally.
But off of that was the same.
You know, when I was in prison, it was so funny because the prisoners, my friends even in the prison, would say, Jim, you walk like a victim.
Yes. Yes.
So they taught me how to walk.
Yeah. I remember when you used to preach about that. Put your thumb out.
Yeah. I'm supposed to have a little strut. You know?
Swag. You got to have some swag with you, man. You know, is that aura. And I think that's what made the difference, is that when you came in to the Dream Center, I think that was the key that got put together, is how to protect that. And there was that swag that you learn in the streets on how to protect yourself just by the way you carry yourself, the way you walk. You know, your persona that you put out there is how you're going to be treated wherever you go, you know. So it was almost like God was shielding you behind the people that we were there, myself and Rick and other guys that were part of the gang culture. But for me, it was more of one of the things that the two of you were so real with me. And I needed that in my life. I needed people to be real. I needed to see, because I didn't believe in marriage. I didn't believe in anything. Nothing was real. Everything in the inner city didn't last long enough to be reality. So it was a facade. Even though myself, I had to create an image so people wouldn't see the real me. You know, that's why every time I speak, I tell people, if people knew the real you, would they still consider you their friend? Would they still consider you the person that they think of you, right? So when you guys, the two of you came along, and I came along beside you, I just saw reality. And how do you work through it? You work through it. You don't just walk away when you have a problem. You don't just walk away when you have an issue. You stay with it. You just be patient. You work it out day in and day out. And I saw you guys, instead of drifting apart, you came closer together. You know, and people came in and gone, but you stayed consistent in my life. I tell you what happened. The gang culture was the only consistent in my life and never walked out. People came in and out, but the gang culture stayed consistent. And the two of you stayed consistent with me. So I recognized that consistency and that loyalty, whether it was a good day or a bad day, you were still there consistently. You took me with you. You talked to me. You never walked away. Other people came in throughout the years and they left. They had their own agenda. They didn't know me. They never, you know, they did things for whatever, but there was no consistency with them. I can read them from a mile away. With the two of you, I knew I was going to find that same consistency that the inner city provided for me, that it was going to be my foundation of wherever I wanted to go. Wherever I wanted to go, I knew that consistency was going to be the key to where I needed. But this is the key. I needed to latch on. You were there, but I needed to latch on. That was my impulse to say, okay, I don't want to go back. But if I'm going to stay, I have to latch on to your way of life. That means I have to let go of my way of life to learn a new way of life that was scary for me, because my culture said, oh, that's the way of life of white people. So even that mentality is taking 20 some years of that undoing of a culture that gives you an identity, and it's an identity built on nothing, right? So now I had to go against everything that I knew to go and find what God had for me. I didn't know what that was, but your consistency is what I connected to. Because again, it was the only thing I can connect with. I didn't know what a father was, therefore it made no difference if you did it right or wrong. You just did it. I didn't know what a mother was, or I just knew, oh, I wonder if that's it. I wonder if that's what it is to be a father, where love never gives up. It just shows up. And I think that consistency is what drew me to take the ability to get out of my own self. But I can tell you, it was not an overnight thing. It was a 20-some year process. And that's what I tell young leaders is you have to be patient, because when God calls you, he makes you wait. And then the process begins, right? And you have to understand how you develop yourself. And at the end of the day, you may not be called to the idea of what you think you're called to. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to change in the process. But when I met you, you gave me an identity, and I hope I helped you find yours again. But you gave me an identity. Wow. I just was there to support what God already gave you. And I think after 23 years, you learned your role.
I think for the first time,
Mondo.
I had a friend in prison. I had a few friends in prison. It's always the big, strong guys would protect me. They knew I was famous, and, you know, prison's a strange world. I need to write a book about prison someday, because it's strange. But it was strange because I know the police probably protected me at times because I was in 7 different prisons. But I had my life threatened and all kinds of stuff like that in the prison. But no one ever hurt me. No one ever put a hand on me to hurt me. And they didn't get by with it. Just one person tried, but never succeeded. And it was a God, thing. But and there were some friends in prison who were nice to me, and I was nice to them. I taught a little bit of scripture to them because I was studying.
Yeah.
And in the final prison, we had full, study courses, just huge. And I was just thinking this the other day. You're the longest running friend I ever had. We never talk about this, but I just haven't had a friend because my life has been building things, doing things, and and here we are, still together after all these years.
Yes, sir.
And
it's been an honor.
Something the whole world's looking in on now. Not the whole world, but a lot of people can look in. And
it's an honor. It's been an honor to get to know you. It's been an honor to call you a friend as well. I tell my kids all the time what our friendship. Even my wife, every now and then she texts me. She goes, "You know what, Mondo? What you and Papa Jim have is so special. It's rare.
It's rare.
It's weird," she said, "because it's so spiritual that," she says, "I hope you understand it." She even, tells me, understand this kind of friendship because it doesn't come every so often. And I realized this, when you think someone else is going to do it, don't assume that. And when I read I was wrong, and then I got to meet the guy that visits you in prison, Phil, Pastor Phil. Pastor Phil was in Minnesota, I think.
Yeah.
And he thought I should go see Jim, and she said, "No, there's probably dozens of pastors trying to get in to see Jim. I don't want to bother him." When come to find out, no one was visiting you.
He was a local pastor in
A
Rochester.
local pastor. No one knew him. He was not on the headlines. He'd never been to your show.
And he kept coming
He
back.
kept coming and just sitting with you. But that's how I felt when I met you. Is I was just there consistently. I didn't need anything from you. Again, I told this at the last conference, and I don't want to cry, but you have to understand that. And my whole time in the inner city, I was looking for my dad.
Yes.
Wherever Dad was,
Yeah.
I was looking for my dad.
That's right, because fathers are the most, they influence
Influential.
people's
They
lives
identify
bigger
you.
than anybody
So
does.
when I met you, I thought about this. If that was my dad, I hope someone would have given my dad what I'm about to do to you. So I saw my dad in you. I didn't know if my dad was still alive. I didn't know, but I saw you as if you were my dad. And if someone was to help my dad in your circumstance, I hope somebody had the compassion enough to help my dad the way I was about to help you. So that for me is I saw my dad in you. And all my life in the inner city, I was looking for my dad, and I spent everything to find him and to what he would smell like and what he would look like, what would he drive. I didn't have no clue who he was. Wow. I didn't know what his voice sounded like. It was weird, but I was looking for him, right? So when I heard you, it's like, that's your dad. What if your dad sounded that way? What if your dad needed your help on this? So that for me became an identity at that moment to, I'm going to help you the way I would help my dad if he was in need of that moment.
When is the last you remember your dad?
It was 23 years ago. I was 23, but a few years later, I found him, and we got a little bit of time to live together, meaning to get to know, but then my dad was murdered in 2009. He was murdered, and
That's awful.
Yeah. And it was weird because we was.
What did he look like? Did he look like you?
He was a very light complected Spaniard. He was an agricultural man. He was the #1 sharpshooter in Central America, was the #1 coffee distributor and owned farm fields of coffee in Central America. So he was a very educated man. So I got to learn about that. So my sister is writing all this for me right now to get to know him through paper, you know. And for me, it's a healing process, you know, and that abandonment and all that. But when you came into my life, God began that process, you know, to forgive him and really help me understand what took place. Because my life, in 24 hours, my whole life was disrupted. I was born with an ability to play soccer. My dad was getting ready to send me to Spain, and where they breed soccer players, and they, you know, the European League found a great gift in me playing soccer. So he was ready to send me over there. We had a perfect life. My mom and dad were very wealthy Hispanic people in Central America. My dad's dad was in politics. He was the mayor of our town, the governor, and was running for president. So it's not like we came out of nowhere. We had a history, but in 24 hours, my life was destroyed. I didn't know where I was. Within 24 hours, we were in El Salvador. I didn't even know where Salvador was. My mom, you know, through the whole divorce, left us in El Salvador so she can try to find herself. You know, she was still young. So I didn't even know where I was, and all of a sudden, we were in America.
Oh.
You know, my mom had given us the citizenship. She was born in Los Angeles, and through this whole amnesty program that happened in the 80s, we found ourselves in America. I didn't even know where I was. All I knew is that in Pan Am Airlines, my mom said, you have to forget where you come from, forget about your memories there, forget about everything, because you'll never see that again. You're going to have to start new. So that was a shock at 7, 8 years old. I was shocked of what happened. Then I arrived in America, and our family rejected us. And then within 24 hours, I got jumped by a gang. They took my bike. And then within 24 hours, this other gang identified me to be one of their own. And I was identified as a gang member by the time I was 7, 8 years old. My whole life changed. Never, you know, I got kicked out of the school district on my first day of school. Was rejected. I was not allowed to go into the LA Unified School District. So my whole time was spent and I think this is where I connected with you. The guy that mentored me in the gang, the OG, was about 60-some years old, and he said, I'm going to train you to be the best gang member that this area has ever produced. So he became like a father to me, took me under his wing. I asked a lot of questions like I do you. I annoyed him probably like I annoyed you probably, but I learned from him. And then by that time it was gone, I was too far in where Sylvia and I didn't get along. And I think I left home, oh boy, by the time I was 11, I was already out of the house.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, surviving on my own, asking questions. I mean, it was weird. Until this day, it's like my sister and I talk all the time. And I ask her, where was I when I was 11? What happened to me? Where did I go? You know, I disappeared for 3 days where the LAPD beat me up and dropped me off in the valley so the Crips can kill me, you know? And then I happened to be in the hands, I still remember this gang called the Bloods, the Piru gangs, and I can still remember his name, Big Red, took care of me for 3 days, you know? And I went back and asked him, you know, later on. But he took care of me for 3 days and got me back to my neighborhood, you know. And so all those little things that it's just exploded. I still didn't make sense of it because I was not your normal gang member.
No,
you know?
It's not even your temperament. If you
No.
do Mondo, it's not even his temperament.
No.
I mean, it's so crazy to think about.
But all that
You ever think of
experience,
writing it down, writing the book?
I'm nervous. You know,
Because you're telling me stuff today I've never heard.
I think if I write it, I will write it from a perspective of a gang member looking for his dad versus I just don't want to tell another story of gangs killing each other because I don't ever, they hurt me, they betrayed me so deep
That's right.
that
That's how
I walked away. And I had a shotgun in my head, in my chest, and in my back because I walked away and they couldn't believe I walked away, but they lied to me. And just like you, when people lie, you take it deep. Where here I was giving my life for a gang, and then come to find out, and I was in LA County Jail when I found out I was nothing but a piece of garbage to them. And here I was believing that I was somebody.
They were just using
Right?
you.
And then when I saw them doing things that we were told not to do on the outside, it was a slap in the face for me. And I took it so personal, I just didn't know how to walk away until my sister walked into my life.
Yeah.
And she said, what if God is real? What if prayer works? And what if you have a different destiny? And that's what woke me up to the idea of, okay, if there's a God, I got a few things I got to tell him.
Yeah.
Okay, if God prays and he talks through prayer, I got a few things we need to talk about. And then destiny, wow, I have a different destiny because the ghetto tells you by the time you're 18, don't make any plans. You're dead. Either you're dead or you're the rest of your life you're in prison. That's what we look forward to. So the idea that maybe I have a different destiny, is that possible?
Wow.
So in my mind, I was confused. How can that be? But that changed my life on a Saturday night.
Thank God for Laura, your sister, coming in. She's so beautiful. You should see Mondo's
Really?
sister. She's, oh my goodness, she's just drop dead gorgeous. And
When did you-
a beautiful person.
When did you
And a
start letting
beautiful
go
heart.
of bitterness? Has it been a process, a whole?
It took 20, the time I was with you, you taught me how to forgive. I will hear you. Every time I heard you talk about forgiveness, every time I would see you forgive people that will hurt you, I used to say, if he can forgive them, then maybe I should. You know? And so that you teaching me how to forgive daily is the idea of destiny, right? Because my destiny was you don't forgive. Everything was vengeance. Everything is you get even. Everything is that you do it to me, I'm going to do it 10 times harder to you. You killed one of us, we're going to go and kill 10 of you. Just that's the vengeance. That's the anger I had. And I remember my dad, when I met my dad for the first time again, I had a gun to his head. And I said, man, when you walked away, I dreamt of this moment to pull the trigger. You know? But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. This is the first time I couldn't pull the trigger. And that's when I realized, I'm not made for the streets anymore. Something's got to give, you know. But learning how to forgive through you, when you used to preach, when you used to teach, when you do Bible studies at night, remember? At the big house,
Oh,
not
yeah.
the prison, but I mean at the cabin.
Casa Grande or the one next door to.
Just
yeah.
teaching forgiveness. And that, I know that was the healing process
was-
of
yeah.
me understanding.
That's what broke up the fallow ground.
Yeah,
Yeah,
until this day,
that's right.
that's still a process to have total forgiveness in areas that still hold you back. You know,
You literally have to walk in total forgiveness.
Yeah.
I mean, every one of us has
Yeah.
to. Every
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
day. We have to
Yeah.
walk in total forgiveness.
Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's been the key, even to getting married and being a dad. No, I think the message: don't give up on your kids.
Yeah.
I
that's
think the
it.
older generation don't give up on your kids.
We can't give up on our kids.
No, and that's what I saw. You guys never gave up on me, never give up on Nana, Lori.
Nana, how long?
I had a good talk with one of them the other day. I'm like, just so you know, I'm never giving up on you. And now, of course,
How
she's
long
just
have you
calling
lived
me
with us,
nonstop
Nana?
now.
How long since you first came to Viv?
I would say 20. I think it's been 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Nana
21.
Yeah,
Yeah.
21.
So you've
there
been with us
23,
20 years?
21.
Yeah.
21
Is that
years?
so-
It's
Wow.
amazing.
So these are not just a bunch of kids sitting up here. They're family.
21
When
years.
you've been together this long,
Wow.
We've been trained.
We could tell you
And
some funny
Marcella-
stories someday.
is the joy of my life.
She is.
I still can't believe you guys are here. I mean, I can't, but I know what we breed in the inner city, it's not this.
Yeah.
It's the
that's right.
opposite.
Some
right?
never can break those chains from the inner
Yes,
city.
That's
No.
right. Most
It's just
can't.
so deep.
There it is. Most
Most of them
can't.
never
No.
leave the inner city. You feel like you just want to run. You just, when you're disciplined, when all these things
Man,
happen, you
Lori.
are, the fight or flight, but you flight.
Oh.
You want to get away from it. You want to leave. You want to go.
Yeah, you
But
do.
Dad, and there were so many moments, in the little Studio City Cafe. I remember Dan Betzer. I don't know if you know Dan Betzer, but he is like the Dan Betzer.
He is like he's like the prince of the
he
pulpit.
is at
Yeah.
Studio City, and we're in literally this small little quarters. The makeup room's right there, Dad's office.
God.
Outside of Dad's office is the lobby, the green room. And here I come in, roaring and raging, and I'm throwing all Dad's
gosh.
books. I'm destroying his office. I am leaving. I mean, I am just a tornado, literally. I was an explosive child. But Dad, in that office, it was just me and Dad. And I remember I said, I'm leaving. I can't do this anymore. Dan Betzer's hearing everything. I'm like, now I know Dan Betzer. And I'm like, every time I see him, I'm like, please forgive me from that moment. I really have changed. But Dad, literally another moment where I was just done. And I remember Dad just grabbed me.
Wow.
And we collapsed to the floor. And he would not let me go. And he just said, you're my daughter. I will not let you go. You don't have an option to leave me. You're my daughter. I'm your father. And in that moment, it's that same thing, Mondo, where you just
Yeah.
realize, okay, there has to come a point where no matter how much I try to push them away and do crazy things and explode on them and try to destroy their ministry, literally, with, all these things, like no matter how hard I try, they're not giving up. Like they're not going to cave. They're not going to give up on me. And so I began to surrender and realize that no matter how much I wanted to, I was never going to get rid of them. They were never going anywhere.
You were stuck with us.
But Dad, that's where, when you have never had a father in your life, and to have that experience where, I've told Mom, and I know I've told Dad, there's something spiritual that I know happened during that time where it is like the love of the Father, and you experience for the first time in the human, in the flesh. But no one can ever take that away from me and Dad. Like, that's what I said. I'm like,
right.
no one can ever take those moments away from Dad and I, where I'm like, man,
precious.
and that's so not Dad.
No,
Like, the thing
it's so
about
not him.
Is
That's right.
I'm like, that's so not Dad. He's like non-confrontational. Lori, you deal with them. I'm going to the other room. Like,
I want peace. I want peace in the house when you have all these kids.
But I
I'm like,
realized that Dad, he fought for me. Like,
He
he
did.
wasn't willing to let me go. He wasn't willing to give
At
up on
that
me.
moment, my heart was breaking,
Yes.
and I loved you.
Yes.
I don't remember hardly any bad from you.
oh my! Let me remind you, Jim Bakker.
Thank you, Lord, for erasing all the memories.
I think she was a perfect child.
Wow.
She didn't try to kill you the night she tried to kill me.
And so I sit here today, and I'm like,
Yeah,
yes,
the
this
real
is-
story behind this happy little family up here,
I'm like, oh man.
you weren't the only one that tried to kill your
No,
mother.
I wasn't. It depended on what the situation was. And the thing is, though, is because like Mondo was saying in the inner city, you really do have a gang mentality. So we would gang up on Mom. And Mom would say, you can't gang up on me. Like, I am not the enemy. And so
tried
we
to
would
kill
all
her.
gang up on
They
Mom.
did.
And so
Push
she
her down
would
the
always tell us, she's like, I have to break. You need to break the gang mentality.
Yeah.
Because we would literally, if one of us were upset, we all were upset. And it was not good.
It was me against the
This
gang.
story needs to be told. This needs to be a
It does.
movie,
It
right?
does. Yeah.
I am
Because it's amazing
serious.
of what God can
We're
do
like-
when. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact
don't know
we
how
need to
you
give it
film
up
that
for
movie.
Pastor Jim and Lori for the fact that they survived the raising.
And now I'm worn out.
You know, it's funny. I'm like, I sit here every time we tell our story really quickly on the show, and Mom's like, and I brought in these kids, and Dad's like, it was so wonderful, 9 at one time, and I'm thinking, yeah, it was so wonderful. I'm like, if they only knew what it took for us to get to where we are today. It takes a lot of perseverance and patience.
Oh my goodness.
You know, it's funny when someone tells me like, oh, they're telling like, oh, I just adopted this child. I'm like, you did? How's it going? I'm like, do you need me to talk to them for you? Because I will.
So good.
I will tell them to give you a little grace and patience and to know that you're not the enemy. You're for them, not against them.
Up until now, and I'm serious,
Oh boy.
I would probably adopt another 20 kids.
Look at Lori.
That's the face I make when my wife, you want another baby?
Oh.
Man.
I don't know.
The Bible says, know the times and the seasons.
I don't know if I could adopt another 20 though.
Oh, Jim.
I loved my kids. I loved raising them.
I know, he
Except
just-
Mom did it all, I guess. But
No, you did.
Don't go away. We'll be right back after this special message.
and so we need help today, and we're gonna count me in, and monthly we can do it with the credit cards now
Yes.
that just let us
That's
do this
right.
starting last week.
Yes.
So with $100 a month is
That's the President's.
That's the President's
Yes.
Club, and that's a good club that could help with a lot of people doing that.
That's right. We have the $50 a month, which is the Jubilee offer, or we have the Count Me In, $1 a day. We're asking as many of you as possible to join $1 a day. That's $30 donation to the ministry monthly. All these
If
monthly donations
everybody
will
that
help
could
us.
do the $1 a day right now, everybody that could can save this ministry. And we have a big audience. And all we need is them to do something. And a lot of them, because of the lack of credit cards, stop giving on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. But now you can say, I want to give $1 a day, and they'll do it automatically on your credit card once a month, right?
Yes, once a month. Yes.
Do you have a certain date that they take it out of your account?
We allow you to give a choice of either the 5th of the month, so early on in the month, or at the end of the month on the 20th. And so those are two options for the auto giving. And this is the Count Me In. This is the monthly donation to the ministry. But Dad, you know, I love, even as we bring this and we're working behind the scenes with the team, I just want all of our viewers, you've stood with this man, Jim Bakker, and I'm telling you, Dad, you've just said to us, you said, I'm not going to go down without a fight. I'm not going to give up the calling that God has placed on my life, on this ministry, to bring a platform. That's what it's all about. We have to bring a voice. The truth has to be spoken more than ever. America is in a crisis, and we need the truth. Now's not the time to allow it to go down and be silenced. If ever there was a time to allow the voice of the prophets to be heard, it's now. Now is not the time to throw in the towel. We don't give up. We keep fighting the good fight. That's what we do. And when you join that monthly, you're helping us to fight the good fight. That's what it's all about.
The dollar
gospel
monthly, is
to be
that $30?
preached. Yes,
That
$30
so
a month.
$30. You could do that.
Anyone who says, Jim, count me in,
Yeah.
we always want to send you a gift, of
This
course.
is to pray every morning
Yes,
when you drink your
every
coffee
morning
or at night.
we're
or
going to
whatever.
send you the PTL Voice of the Prophets Network mug. And so it's just a great reminder to pray for us, pray for our nation, pray for the world. We need the Lord in this time more than ever.
Yes.
Amen. So let's do the count me. I need everyone who will do monthly.
Yes.
Anybody here do monthly already? Are you monthlies? Anybody monthlies?
Amen.
Anybody want to do monthly today?
Amen.
Yeah, look,
Amen.
there's several said they'll do monthly. I need everybody to do
Listen, I'll
monthly.
do $30 a month.
Yes,
Me, my
amen.
family,
Praise
and I will
God.
do $30. We believe in this ministry. We have been invested physically, everything that you can possibly to be invested in. Now You know, it's another time. This is how much we love our ministry here. We've been here 23 years. We're going to continue to go forward. This message is so important. There's people that can do $50, $100. But listen, any amount that you can do, if you want to do a larger amount, this is the time that we stepped in. You know, Perry Stone laid the foundation in understanding why we need these voices right now, meaning the voice that can give us an understanding on how to interpret, how to discern the time that we're in right now. There's so many voices out there that are just, you know, they're just talking. They're just, listen, stop listening to Facebook prophets. Stop listening to parking lot preachers. It's time to get back to the Word of God, the foundation of where we are right now.
But we need to count you in today. I mean,
Yes.
everybody that could, let's start with the $30 a month. That's $1 a day, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Amen.
can.
$1 a day by the debit card.
Yep.
It's a credit card. We can do
Debit
it.
or credit
Then it's
card.
automatically. You don't
Yes.
have to worry about it doing it. You can do it $1 a day, which is $30 a month. Or you can give $50 a month. That's Jubilee. Some of you need a Jubilee. Jubilee is the setting free. And Brother, I need to be set free from all of this today. And we've gone through it this month, believe me. But we're still here.
Absolutely.
And we're here to stand with you.
Amen.
Call us today, 1-888-988-1588. You can also write to The Jim Bakker Show at P.O. Box 7330, Branson, Missouri 65615. Please make all checks payable to Jim Bakker Show. Or you can make your donation and order of other products online at our website, jimbakkershow.com.
You know, we're wounded warriors, I guess, but we're wounded healers.
Yes.
And that's what he
right.
wants us all to help heal each other.
Yes.
We've all been broken. And wherever you've been broken, it doesn't, I hate to say this, but unless you had a real supernatural miracle, which you could have had, you still got some aches where you were broken. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's just the way it is.
It's a process.
Thank you all for staying with us.
We love you. It's great to have you all.
I have to go. He really loves you. He really does. Bye-bye for today. Call me. Stand with us at this time.
Yes.